What's up, y'all? We're back out here on the range. As you can see, on this cloudy, cool morning, temps are actually in the high 40s right now, so I almost had to grab me a long sleeve shirt. It's supposed to hit a high 60s today and for the next few days, so should be some fantastic day to get some testing done. I've got a few good ones on the agenda, and this right here should be some really interesting 9mm. So we got the jelly contraption ready to go on this cool morning with a couple of chronos and 2 fresh blocks of gel. First test of the day, so you really get a nice clear picture of what happens here. As you can see, I'm sticking with my heavy clothing barrier that's got the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got for this one is some stuff that was sent to me by CorBon, so big thanks to them for that. We've got the Glaser Safety Slug. For those of y'all that don't know, Glaser is under the CorBon name. Now, this is new production stuff back in stock. This is the 9mm plus P 80 grain. Ballistics on this box here is saying 1475, which would give you about 387 foot-pounds of energy. Now, this is some really interesting stuff. If y'all aren't familiar with it, here's a look at your cartridge. Brass case. Now, you got a jacketed projectile here with that blue polymer ball in the front, but the rest of it is a load of compressed number 12 shot. I don't know how well y'all will be able to see the box there, but you can see a little picture of it. Maybe I'll inset a picture up above. Now, the claim to fame to this stuff obviously is very little to no chance of over penetration. Most people, when you mention these right here, the first thing that they say is air marshal use, just for using inside airplanes, where over penetration would definitely be a big no-no. Now, Glaser doesn't make any claims as far as use for that, but obviously that would be probably one of the use cases. Anywhere that you're going to be shoulder to shoulder, tightly packed, where over penetration would truly be a concern, I suppose this would be an option. Y'all know how I am now. I ain't even gonna sugarcoat it. There's really no scenario that I would see myself personally using this stuff, but we'll show you what it does out here and let you make your own decision. Now, I believe the test barrel for this was a 4-inch, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put something on the screen if that's wrong. What I've got here today are my usual test subjects for 9mm. I've got my Canik Mete MC9 that's got the 3.1-inch barrel, and then we've got the Glock 17 here with the 4.5-inch. So this ought to be pretty interesting if nothing else, and it's been requested by quite a few people actually. Let's get all this stuff set up and see what it can do. All right, y'all, let's see what these Twilight Zone specials can do. I'm gonna put a 5-round average from both of them across the radar, starting with this MC9. Now, you will see multiple readings from this thing. The large numbers right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got the other set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Now, remember, this box here was saying 1375. I could have swore I saw a little bit higher on the site info, but this box says 1375, and the 4-inch barrel was supposed to be the test barrel. So we may not quite see that here, but should get pretty doggone close. 1440. I'd say we got close and then some. 1412. 1440. Non-existent recoil, by the way. 1445. And 1424, so nice velocity right there and very low recoil, and it seemed really consistent. Let's check out the average. All right, that's definitely what I like to see as far as velocity. We had 1432 average when the box was claiming 1375, extreme spread of 32 with a 13.7 standard deviation, so decent consistency, very nice velocity, especially what they're claiming on the box and what we actually got. So I'm happy with this stuff so far. Let's get it reset and see what the G17 does. All right, let's see what kind of boost we get from this longer barrel here. It should be pretty decent right here. No recoil. 1527. I mean, recoil non-existent in this right here. 1487. 1524. I mean, no recoil. And 1971. I don't know about that. That one may have been an error. It could be a little finicky with these pellets right here. So I almost feel like we ought to get rid of that one. I think I am. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm just going to leave that and we'll just go with what we got right here. So just keep in mind, this may be a little off right here. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm getting rid of that one. I actually already did. I deleted that 1900. That's obviously an error because that's not even within the range I have my radar set to. So let's get another one just so we can be as accurate with this stuff as possible. 1541, that's more like it. Let's check out the average. All right, the longer barrel definitely sped it up. We had a 5-round average that time of 1,513 feet per second. Extreme spread was 55 with a 25.1 standard deviation. Again, I'm not sure just how compressed those pellets are, those number 12 pellets. So if they're kind of loose and they start to separate before they impact something, it could give us a little some weird stuff right here. So take all this for what it's worth. 1513 here, and if you remember on the MC9, it was 1432, so you talking about, what's that, 81 feet per second difference? Pretty decent difference right there. All that being said, I think these things are designed to do their thing one way pretty much regardless of the barrel length, so I expect to see just minimal penetration and probably a mess for me to clean out of the gel. But let's get all this stuff set up. Y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, there's a man on the wing of this plane, jelly time. I'm gonna put one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with the MC9. This should be pretty interesting. Hopefully we get a reading on this chrono right here too. Again, I'm not sure how compressed these are. Maybe I should pull one apart and check that out, but let's see what we get here. All right, that was where I wanted it. I can't tell what I got. Let me go check it out. All right, looks like that one right there behaved exactly like it was meant to, and that kind of answers a question of how compressed that number 12 is, because it went all the pieces down there. It came all apart, so it's probably compressed just as far as the actual manufacturing process of getting it in there. Well, let's see what this G17 does. Should do more of the same right here. Maybe just a little more spread on the pellets. Went a little bit low, but I think we're pretty good right there. Let's go check this out. All right, let's check out what we got here, y'all. Basically exactly what they claim you're gonna get right here from both of these rounds. They look identical. I mean, these things look exactly the same, which is a good thing for sure in my opinion. Y'all know how I feel about that. You know what you're gonna get regardless of barrel length. Unfortunately, just what I'm seeing as far as the performance just is not personally my thing. I don't see myself really having any need for something like this, but I know some people do like it, and I know some people's philosophy dictates that they may want to use this stuff in certain circumstances. Now, I do want to mention, I got a little confused, obviously, while I was doing the radar part here with the shorter barrel. I think I was saying 1375 on the box when it's actually 1475. So our short barrel fell a little bit short of that box claim, but it's a shorter barrel than what they claim. So no biggie there. The G17 still exceeded that 475 or the 1475. And that's one thing about this, I have to give it credit. It's a nice little energy dump right there. You definitely get a nice little snap of energy. You're in the upper 300s right here, 300 foot-pounds, which is good energy for a 9mm. But looking at them one by one here, this one on the top, obviously that's the MC9. You can see comes in here, immediate energy dump, just right there. I mean, within a quarter of an inch, this thing dumps all its energy between about a quarter of an inch and maybe 3 inches or so, 3 to 4 inches, I would say. Tons of those little pellets just all over the place right here. You got massive fragmentation on the jacket, and then you got a deformation of that little blue polymer ball also. The big problem for me, as you can see here, this is a 16-inch block, so 8 inches is going to be about right there. So we're probably around 6 inches or so with these. But dropping down here on the bottom right quick, that's the G17. Again, it looks identical. You cannot tell any difference between these. Comes in here immediately within a quarter of an inch, dumps its energy right here. Very nice disruption within that quarter inch to 3 inch or so mark, 3 to 4 inches. Again, tons of those little pellets everywhere. These rounds do exactly what they claim to do. That's something I always give credit for. Y'all know whether it's my cup of tea or not, I have to give these credit. They did exactly what they claim to do, and they did it well. What they claim to do, they did it well from what I can see. But again, tons of fragmentation from your jacket there, and there's your blue polymer ball squished out of shape. So as far as the penetration on them, they're both the same. I mean, they're exactly the same. Both of them are right at 6.5 inches. So 6.5 inches is the very furthest point. Most of your energy transfer happened probably about right here. That's about 4.25 inches. So from entry to 4.25 inches is where all of that energy dumped. And again, it's just fragmentations of copper and those little lead pellets. And here's your close-up look at them. Again, they look identical. You can see, I'll bring you in really close. You can see just how soon, I mean, it opens up, spreads out instantly. And you got all those little pellets. Bring you in close there. You can see the jacket. If we come back down here, same story on this one. Tons of those little pellets everywhere and very little penetration. From the top here, looking at pretty much the same thing. It's a little tough to see them, but y'all get the picture. Again, I have to give credit to these for doing exactly what they said they were going to do. All right, let's check this stuff out right here, y'all. I really can't even call these, I mean, I guess you do call these projectiles, multiple projectiles here at this point, but you can see what they look like. I kind of just reached in. Now, this isn't going to be anything real useful, but I kind of just reached in with the with my forceps and grabbed the biggest chunk there that still had the base with all the little projectiles. You got a little bit of cloth there. You can see there's your polymer ball. It's completely flattened out. I mean, it completely flattened out. You can see lots of the little steel or lead BBs there. Just tiny little number 12 shot that was compressed inside there. Same thing on this one right here. This was the MC9. It doesn't really even matter. I can show you there. I mean, it's all the same stuff in both of them. Now, getting weights on this is kind of pointless, but I'm gonna do it anyway, just out of curiosity. We did lose quite a bit even with me pulling it out, but I wanna see just what kind of weight we would have with the kind of largest clump of this stuff at the end of its travel. So measuring this chunk of stuff right here, this was the one from the G17 at right here actually. I've got 39.6 grains and they start at 80. So again, take that for what it's worth. Not really valuable info, but it could, you know, you could probably add, you know, 5, 6 more to that and kind of guesstimate what kind of mass you would have at the end of the travel. Because to me, that's one hang up I have, I'll talk about here on the outro, as far as weight, you know, what might happen if this stuff went up against something that it needed to get through. So dumping this stuff here, this is the MC9. That one's got a lot less because, well, I mean, a lot more of it is left in the track, so that makes sense. We got 26.6 grains right there. So obviously tons of loss, but it's really hard to count loss or weight retention because this stuff is not really meant to retain its weight. So there you go, y'all, the CorBon Glaser safety slug, 9mm plus P. Interesting stuff for sure. I'm glad I tested this just to get to see exactly how it is built inside. I was wondering if it was really loose like this, like the CCI shot shell stuff, or if it truly was really compressed, almost mechanically compressed. Well, I guess it is mechanically, but y'all know what I mean, just kind of bonded. But obviously it's just really loosely compressed in there. Again, probably just with the manufacturing process is the only compression you're looking at here. All this being said, y'all know my feeling on this type of rounds. It's really not for me, but I have to give them credit. These things did exactly what they claimed to do. All right, y'all, I'm gonna call it right there for a pretty interesting 9mm test to start the day. One thing this stuff definitely did was leave me my own nightmare at ground level when it comes to cleaning these gel blocks out, because that stuff made a terrible mess. As far as the performance from these rounds, they did what they claimed to do. Again, you have to give them credit for doing what they claimed to do. The velocity was right up there where they claimed it to be. The energy is decent, very decent for a 9mm, but y'all know the downfall for me of these rounds. That really low penetration. Now, if you need these for very specific, very close quarter circumstances, I suppose this would be another option, because there's guaranteed no over penetration with this. I don't really care where you place these. I would be willing to bet you're not going to over penetrate wherever you put these things. The big question for me is, would it get through just the bare minimum that it needs to get through to stop a threat? but that right there is something that I just don't feel comfortable with. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. Have any of y'all out there carried these Glaser safety slugs? Do you carry them right now in whatever caliber? I think right now all I see is the 9mm Luger and actually 9mm Makarov, but let me know down in the comments if y'all got any experience at all with any caliber in these safety slugs. Big thanks as always to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got a couple more really good tests planned for out here today, so make sure y'all stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.